Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Ananya Banerjee from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science. Today I would like to talk about cDNA library. As discussed in my previous video, we all now know that DNA library is a collection of cloned restriction fragments of the DNA of an organism. And this DNA library is done so that scientists can identify and isolate the desired fragments for their genetic studies. Now there are two types of DNA libraries. One is genetic library, which contain DNA fragments representing the entire genome of an organism, which I have already discussed in detail in my previous video. And another is cDNA library, which contain only complementary DNA synthesized from mRNA molecules. Let's now get a detail about cDNA library. cDNA library is a collection of clones containing complementary DNA which are prepared from fully transcribed mRNAs isolated from the nucleus of a particular type of tissues, and therefore it contains only the expressed genes of an organism. cDNA library represents all the genes that are expressed in a cell or tissue at different stages of its development. Just because the cDNA libraries represent the sequences after any post-transcriptional modification, so the main advantage of cDNA library is that it contains only the coding region of a genome. Now, what are the characteristics of cDNA library? The conversion of mRNA molecule to double-stranded cDNA offers several advantages. For example, firstly, cDNA library is produced by reverse transcription of mRNA, hence it contains no introns or non-coding regions in it. Secondly, mRNA is naturally labile single-stranded molecule, so its conversion into more stable double-stranded cDNA facilitates long-term storage of these sequences. Thirdly, cDNA is representative of the mRNA population, that is the expressed genes, of the cell or tissue. Thus, the synthesis of cDNA library is the creation of a permanent biochemical record of the cell at the time of lysis. Fourthly, cDNA molecules, both long and short, can be used to screen members of much more complex genomic libraries. Fifthly, expression of cDNA library is feasible if it is linked to a suitable promoter. Sixthly, cDNA library is never made from prokaryotic mRNA because prokaryotic mRNA are very unstable and easy to make genomic library. Lastly, cDNA libraries are very useful for analyzing coding regions and gene function of eukaryotes because condensed proteins encoded gene library have much less junk sequences. Let's now see how cDNA library are different from genomic library. Genomic library includes all possible fragments of DNA from a given cell or organism, whereas cDNA library carries only expressed gene sequences in it. Genomic library is larger, whereas cDNA library is smaller. Genomic library represents the entire genome of an organism having both coding and non-coding regions in it, whereas cDNA library represents only the expressed part of the genome and contains only the coding sequences called express sequence tag, which can also be represented as EST. Genomic library from all cells have the same content, whereas cDNA library from different cells have different content. In case of genomic library, all genes are represented, whereas in case of cDNA library, not all genes are represented. Regulatory sequences like promoter and introns are present in case of genomic library, whereas cDNA library does not contain any regulatory sequence in it. Expression of gene taken from genomic library is difficult in prokaryotic system like bacteria due to absence of splicing mechanism, Whereas in case of cDNA library, cDNA, just because it have only the coding sequence in it, therefore it can directly be expressed in prokaryotic system. In case of genomic library, vectors are mainly plasmid, cosmid, lambda phage, bacterial artificial chromosome and yeast artificial chromosome. These vectors are used so that they can accommodate large fragments in it. Whereas in case of cDNA libraries, the vector used include plasmid, phagemid, lambda phage, etc. in order to accommodate small fragments of cDNA in them. Genomic library is useful for genome analysis, map-based cloning, promoter studies, etc. cDNA library is useful for the analysis of coding regions and gene function. Now, to construct cDNA library, the steps involved are: firstly, we need to isolate and purify the mRNA from the desired cell or tissues. After that, we need to check the RNA integrity. Then we need to select the particular mRNAs from which we are going to make the cDNA library. Then after that, we need to synthesize the cDNA from those particular mRNA. After that, the treatment of the cDNA ends will be done. Then they will be ligated to the vector, and finally cloning of cDNA will take place. Now we will discuss each and every steps in detail. The first step is mRNA isolation and purification. After extracting RNAs from a cell type or tissue of interest, we need to isolate mRNA from highly abundant tRNAs and rRNAs, which might otherwise constitute the majority of the final library, to the detriment of the detection of low abundance RNAs. The 3' ends of eukaryotic mRNA are composed of a string of 50 to 250 adenylated residues, which makes the separation easy from the much more prevalent tRNAs and rRNAs in the cell extract. The nucleotide A of the poly A tail at the 3' end, it forms 2 hydrogen bonding with nucleotide T, and this pairing is very specific. So, oligo-DT can be bound to the poly A tail and can be used to recover the mRNA. Different methods can be used to isolate mRNA. The total RNA can be passed through an oligomeric DT-coated resin or cellulose column, where only the mRNA having the poly A tail will bind and the rest of the RNAs will be eluted out. The mRNA can then be eluted by using eluting buffer and some heat to separate the mRNA strand from oligo-DT. Or oligo-DT magnetic beads can be mixed with the total RNA preparation. Now, due to mutual exclusive affinity, mRNA will bind to the poly-T beads. Now, strong magnets can be used to pull out the mRNA from the lysate, or the beads can be washed with washing buffer to remove non-specific cross-contaminating species. After that, the mRNA will be eluted from the beads using eluting buffer, and its purity can be checked on polyacrylamide gel. Or lysing cells and then preparing mRNA ribosome complex on sucrose gradient by density gradient centrifugation can also be done to isolate mRNA. This method is used in those cases where poly A tail is not formed. The next step is to check the integrity of the isolated mRNA. This step is done to make sure that the mRNA is not degraded. Now, there are mainly 2 methods which can be used. First is translating the mRNA, where cell-free translation system such as wheat germ extract or rabbit reticulocyte lysate is used to see if the mRNA can be translated. Or analyzing the mRNA by using agarose gel electrophoresis or polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, which is done to understand whether the mRNA is intact or not. The next step is selecting the particular mRNA from a particular cell or tissue. It is done when we are trying to clone a particular gene rather to make a complete cDNA library. Here also two methods can be used. Either we can fractionate the mRNAs on the gel, where the mRNAs will be separated on the basis of size, from which the mRNA of interested size are recovered, or enrichment method can be used, which is carried out by hybridization. For example, making of a cDNA library of the mRNA sequences that are induced with a hormone. The next step is the synthesis of cDNA. Now there are three steps which are involved in the synthesis of cDNA. First, the first-strand synthesis occurs with the help of reverse transcriptase. Secondly, the removal of RNA template occurs, which is done by degrading the mRNA template. And after that, the second cDNA strand is synthesized. Now, let's see how synthesis of first cDNA strand is done. Once mRNA is purified, oligo-DT is tagged as a complementary primer which binds to the poly-A tail, providing a free 3' OH end that can be extended by reverse transcriptase along with all the 4 deoxynucleotide triphosphate to create the complementary DNA strand. After the synthesis of the complementary DNA strand, terminal transferase is used to add C nucleotides on the 3' of the newly synthesized first strand of cDNA. Now the mRNA is removed from the mRNA cDNA hybrid by alkaline hydrolysis or by using RNase H enzyme to give a single-stranded cDNA molecule. Next, an oligo-DG primer is used, which by binding to the 3' end of the cDNA extends the second strand of cDNA using first cDNA as template with the help of reverse transcriptase or clinopolymerase enzyme and DNTPs. As discussed earlier, the degradation of mRNA from mRNA cDNA hybrid can be done by alkaline hydrolysis, which can be done by loading the DNA-RNA hybrid on an alkaline sucrose gradient, or by RNase H, which catalyzes nicking of the RNA strand from the DNA-RNA hybrid. The small fragments of mRNA produced by RNase H can act as primer for second cDNA strand synthesis. But this is not true in case of self-priming of second cDNA strand, and random primers catalyze second strand synthesis. Now, after making the duplex cDNA, single-strand specific nuclease is added. This will cleave some of the segments of the newly synthesized strand. Then the duplex cDNA will be treated with EcoR1 methylase, which will add methyl group to the newly synthesized strand and will protect the cDNA from unwanted restriction endonuclease digestion. Then EcoR1 digestion will be done to create some complementary overhangs in the duplex cDNA. After that, the vector DNA will be treated with the same restriction endonuclease enzyme. Now, the cDNA duplex will be inserted into the vector with the help of T4 DNA ligase enzyme, and the recombinant DNA will be produced, which will then be introduced into a host cell and can be screened by several screening processes. Other than treating the ends of cDNA duplex with restriction endonuclease, it can be treated with linkers or adapters in order to produce complementary ends to ligate into vector. This I will discuss in the next slide. The next step is the treatment of cDNA ends. Blunted ligation of large fragments is not efficient. So we have to use special acid linkers to create sticky ends for cloning. Now in order to do so, linkers or adapters can be used which can be added to the ends of the duplex cDNA, and after that it can be ligated into the vectors. Now what are linkers? Linkers are some chemically synthesized double-stranded oligonucleotides which are added to double-stranded DNA that act as recognition sites for restriction enzyme, which when treated with those restriction enzyme will produce some sticky ends, and after that this particular sticky end containing duplex can be used to ligate within the vector. And what are adapters? Adapters are DNA molecules or oligonucleotide with preformed cohesive ends. They are used to develop sticky ends. The next step is the ligation of cDNA to vector. Now any vector with an EcoR1 cutting site would be suitable for cloning the cDNA. First, the cDNA, which were linked with either linkers or adapters, they were first phosphorylated. So before the ligation process, dephosphorylation of the cDNA with the help of alkaline phosphatase enzyme is done. And after that, with the help of T4DNA ligase, the cDNA duplex will then be inserted into the vectors. The next step is the cloning of cDNAs. cDNAs are commonly cloned in phage insertion vectors. Other than phage, there are some other vectors also which can be used to clone cDNAs. But bacteriophage vector possess few advantages over plasmid vectors. Those advantages are: bacteriophage are more desirable when a large number of recombinants are required for cloning low abundant mRNA, as recombinant phages are produced by in vitro packaging. It can easily handle and store large number of phage clones as compared to the bacterial colonies carrying plasmids. The last and the final step is the screening of cDNA libraries. The screening of cDNA libraries can be done by using colony hybridization, Pluck lift method. These two are based on nucleic acid hybridization, and another is immunological screening. Use of cDNA library. cDNA libraries are most useful in reverse genetics where the additional genomic information is of less use. It is useful for subsequently isolating the gene that codes for that mRNA. It can be used for the discovery of novel genes. Cloning of full-length cDNA molecule for in vitro study of gene functions can be done. It can be used to study mRNA which are expressed in different cells or tissues specifically. It can also be used to study alternative splicing in different cells or tissues. Thank you. If you like my video, do like and subscribe.